Well, they were crimes that gripped a neighborhood near the U of M for years. A series of burglaries and rapes targeting young women. Now a plea deal is in the works that could send the suspect to prison for a very long time. Lou Raguse has the details.
Sorting out the cases potentially involving Jory Wiebrand was no easy task. He was arrested in April and charged with 2 separate rapes in the Marcy Homes and Dinkytown neighborhoods near the U of M. And the Hennepin County Attorney's Office began linking more cases. They now say in court documents that Wiebrand sexually assaulted, tried to assault, burglarized, stalked, or harassed 16 known female victims. He faces 32 charges from incidents that happened between March 2015 and March 2020, affecting students and other young women living near the U. County Attorney Mike Freeman made it clear they'd seek an enhanced sentence.
He's off the streets. We've not seen this kind of case occur again since he's been in custody, and we will do the best we know how as prosecutors to convict him.
In addition, prosecutors are asking the judge to allow evidence from 6 victims be used together in one case. Court papers say the attacks are similar in how Wiebrand blitz attacked the women and sexually assaulted them, some in their homes, some in their yards, and some right in public. Those cases are linked by DNA and fingerprints.
We recognize above all the victim survivors, their strength and their courage.
In a court hearing today, prosecutors revealed the victims may not need to testify in a trial because the county attorney's office is discussing a plea deal with Wiebrand. If he accepts, he could plead guilty on January 14th. Lou Raguse, KARE 11 News.
It's difficult to determine just how much prison time Wiebrand faces if he pleads guilty, considering the number of charges and separate victims.